throughout our city.
Master of Accounting, Master of Management, and Bachelor of Business Administration commencement exercises. I'd now like to stand for the national anthem. Who began their intensive program in September of 2015. They're the third Master of Accounting class to complete their program in 8 months, and our largest graduating class so far. Mac students, are you here? We will also be awarding degrees to 53 Master of Management candidates, the second graduating class from this special one-year intensive program. Thank you so much, Mac graduates, for helping us shape our unique approach to the Master of Management. Master of Management graduates, are you here? Maybe just a little bit louder, we have 500 Bachelor of Business Administration candidates who for the past 3 years have filled the halls of the Ross School with their tremendous energy, enthusiasm, and passion. 64 of our degree candidates today are also graduating with dual degrees from other schools and colleges at the University of Michigan, including the Penny W. Stamp School of Art and Design, the College of Engineering, the School of Information, Kinesiology, the College of Literature, Sciences, and Arts, and the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. BBAs, are you here? Earlier this afternoon, our Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs, Lynn Wooten, presided over the Beta Gamma Sigma ceremony, the International Honor Society for Business Students and Scholars. Beta Gamma Sigma honors are awarded to the top 10% of our graduating BBA students. Will those Beta Gamma Sigma honorees who are with us this afternoon please stand so that we may congratulate you. Beta Gamma Sigma students. The entire faculty and staff of the Ross School join me in wishing you all the best. You leave us today to do important work as you take up the challenges of today's business world. We will miss you, but we know you are ready to fulfill the Ross School's mission and truly be leaders who make a positive difference in the world. We are confident that you will make us proud as you work to the highest standard of excellence, conduct yourselves with integrity in all of your dealings, and with compassion and concern for the welfare of others. Before we begin today, and before we honor you, I invite all of you graduates to stand, turn around, and thank those who made it all possible. Graduates, please.
Hello, class of 2016, families, friends, faculty, alumni. My name is Jake Aronson, and I'm so grateful and humbled to be our commencement student speaker. Hopefully this speech beats the curve today, but everyone sitting there goes, I gladly take a B+. Ross has completely transformed my college experience for the better. And in the first few drafts of this speech, I tried to put that impact in words. When I started suffering from writer's block, I hit Facebook for some mindless scrolling. That's when I read a status by one of our esteemed classmates, Ben Rothie. Ben was trying to thank all the people he might not get a chance to see in person for their roles in his college experience. He quoted the writer Chuck Palahniuk, who said, "Nothing of me is original. I am the combined effort of everyone I've ever known." Then it clicked. The goal of this speech is not to talk about myself or to offer hollow platitudes. My goal is to tell you all how special you have made mine and each other's time here, and how much brighter our futures are because of each other. We are open-minded, thoughtful, substantive, smart, diligent, wild, and awesome in the most literal sense of the word. Ross is the best business program in the world. Forget what US News says. Not because of the course offerings or the quality of lectures, though those are exceptional too. Ross is extraordinary because of the people in this room. When I got to Michigan, I had a hard time reconciling my view that I was the smartest kid in every room in high school with the fact that I wasn't the smartest kid in any room in college. Michigan and Ross helped me learn how much I don't know. More importantly, Michigan Ross connected me with the people who helped me realize I have the capacity to change that. Business Stats was an important course that built a foundation for the way I consider cost-benefit analyses, but I associate that course more with meeting one of my best friends here at Michigan through our homework group. He taught me how powerful it is to wake up every day and say, "It's a great day to be alive." BCom 350 was refreshing because it was the first time I learned to keep business writing simple, and Mary Hinesley is one of my favorite professors here. But again, I associate that course more with meeting another best friend in Michigan, who challenges me daily and has taught me to be confident in myself and the people around me. And she introduced me to another best friend in Michigan, who helped motivate my eagerness to learn and to explore the industry I'm now in as a postgrad. Now, the point of this speech is not to tell you all how many friends I have. And if you couldn't tell by now, it's not even to say anything profound. My goal is to hold a mirror to the class of 2016. Whenever I would make a mental list of the readings, group projects, and exams I had in the next few days and weeks, I'd start to feel overwhelmed. Like we all did at some point, I'd start to lose sleep, be irritable, run my hands through my hair, and worst of all, complain. Then I'd enjoy a chance encounter with the incomparable Justin Schmidberger. Yeah, of course, in the Winter Garden. Or with any of you rock stars. And I realized that it is possible to fulfill all our academic and extracurricular obligations. And go to Rick's. And tailgate before a football game. And recruit for an internship for a full-time job. Recent legend has it that in intra-squad scrimmages on the football team, Jim Harbaugh makes the winners run sprints after practice, while the losers line up and watch the winners get better as they run. That's the experience we've had at Ross. Every conversation, every class, every meeting is an opportunity to get better, especially after working ourselves to the bone beforehand. And everyone among us is a winner who should motivate you and inspire you. That's the Michigan Ross difference. To the BBAs, the Masters of Accounting, and the Masters of Management, let's attack our next chapter with enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Thanks again, and go blue.
talent by our CEO of Ford Motor Company certainly embodies all of those criteria. The details of Mark's career are in your program, so in introducing Mark, I would simply like to highlight one of the key reasons I invited him here today. Under Mark's leadership, Ford is expanding its business model to be both an auto and a mobility company, committed to growing and investing in its core business, and aggressively pursuing emerging opportunities through Ford's smart mobility. The company's plan to be a leader in connectivity, mobility, autonomous vehicles, the customer experience, and data and analytics. It's certainly an exciting time to be at Ford. When I invited Mark to join us today, we talked about what he faced when he began his own illustrious career, the lessons he's learned along the way, and what he sees for you, the leaders of the future, as you sit on the threshold of this new stage in your career and life. I know you'll be inspired by what he has to share with you. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming to the podium the true leader who makes a positive difference in the world, Mark Field.
Well, thank you, Allison, and I really appreciate your kind introduction. So, distinguished guests, Michigan Ross faculty, parents and family, and of course, graduates, I am extremely honored to be able to share this occasion with you. And I have to tell you, I was going to come to this ceremony anyway to see one graduate in particular get his diploma, because my son Zach is going to be graduating along with all of you today, and I hope he doesn't mind listening to Dad and but I hope he won't mind if I mention how proud his mom and I are of him. In a room full of parents who I know are feeling exactly the same thing, and I'm just the lucky one who gets to say it. So class of 2016, welcome and congratulations. Because as of today, you have the U of M brand, and let me tell you, college names don't come much finer than that. And there's a reason you can literally travel anywhere and find someone wearing that maize and blue hat with that block M. I've seen it in airports, I've seen it in lobbies all over the world. And every time I give them a good go blue, they give me back a resounding go blue, even if they don't speak English. And you know, I just love saying that so much that sometimes I forget that I actually went to Rutgers. Now, I know going to school in New Brunswick, New Jersey, certainly, all right, there we go. Certainly doesn't compare with going to school in Ann Arbor, but hey, at least I didn't go to that other school. So here you are at your college graduation, and it may be hard for many of you to say goodbye to U of M, but don't worry, because the Alumni Association will make sure that they never say goodbye. And as you walk out of here today, don't let that University of Michigan diploma lead you to believe that your education is over, because in fact, in many ways, your education is just beginning. And of course, being the responsible business school students that you are, I'm sure probably many of you have kind of sketched out a plan in front of you for your careers. And you might be thinking, well, I'll go do that job for a while, and then maybe I'll move over here, so ultimately I can end up somewhere else. And let me just tell you something from my own experience. It never works out that way. So don't be afraid to step away from a preset plan, because it can be a very important step towards something better. Now I have to tell you a story. On my first day as CEO, becoming CEO of Ford, a reporter asked me, they said, "Hey Mark, 25 years ago when you walked through the doors of Ford Motor Company, did you have your eyes on that corner office?" And I kind of chuckled to them. I said, my goal was just to have a job a year from now. And At that time, I actually did have my sights set on becoming the Ford General Marketing Manager. And I knew I had a long way to go to do that. So I thought to myself, I'll just do whatever I can to be valuable to the company, and importantly, be flexible. And by being flexible and open, I've been fortunate to live in places I never even thought I would visit, nonetheless ever live in. From Buenos Aires to Hiroshima to London and Detroit. And I've benefited from experiences that I never thought possible. Experiences that helped me grow, that challenged me, that scared me, but ultimately I became a better leader because of that. And that's not to say I've got everything figured out by any means. Yet along the way, I've learned a lot, and I've created some basic guidelines that have served me well. And today I'd like to share a few of those guidelines with you and a few pieces of advice. And it starts with dreaming. You know, we've all been told to have dreams and then to go after them. But if you really want to realize your dreams, stop defining them as just fuzzy visions of the future. Instead, dream with a deadline. Think of your dreams as targets that keep you focused, that keep you determined. So here's my approach. Every role I've taken at work, I always start out by dreaming with a deadline. Now, one vivid example was when I was named CEO of Mazda in Japan, where I learned to teach an entire team of people to dream with a deadline. This once great Japanese auto company with a crystal clear brand image known for sporty, exciting cars was on the doorstep of bankruptcy. And the stakes were high. Not only was the future of 24,000 employees on the line, but also an entire community. Because Mazda was the lifeblood of Hiroshima. And if Mazda didn't survive, Hiroshima wasn't going to survive. And after spending time living with the men, women, and children who depended on this brand and this company, my dream became very clear. Save a company and an entire population from the brink of extinction and teach them how to reignite their dream of making products that were the envy of the world. And we started by asking a basic question. What is our dream, and how quickly can we achieve it? We stopped dreaming about being like Toyota or Honda or unfocused thoughts that had caused Mazda to lose its way. And we decided to go back to our roots of what made Mazda successful in the past. We dreamt of being a small, scrappy brand of sports cars, not for everyone, that connected people to the road. And we gave ourselves a deadline, 2 years. We had 2 years to pursue our dream, or the business reality was we were not going to survive. So we developed clear goals around when we get back to break even and return to profitability, and introduce new products that embody our dream. And we developed a communications campaign called Zoom Zoom to remind ourselves of our dream and then help the world discover it as well. In 2 years, nearly to the day of putting our dream into action, and after some very tough decisions and hard work, Mazda turned a profit for the first time in quite a while. And our products started winning awards, and people started smiling again. And an entire community was saved. Dream with a deadline. Focus on the prize. And once you have that perspective, you'll be more open and also ready to see the world and yourself the way others see you. And that's important, and that brings me to my next piece of advice. And that is to make the biggest difference, constantly seek and embrace feedback, and then take it and take time to reflect on it. You know, early in my career, in my first job actually managing people, I started getting what's known as 360-degree feedback. And that's where you get feedback from your boss, your peers, and the folks that work for you. And it's no ratings, it's just candid, anonymous comments and opinions of the things that you do well and the things that you don't do so well. And let me just say, my first report didn't make for great bedtime reading. Because my perception of how I was leading clearly didn't match the reality of how my team was experiencing my leadership. And I have to tell you, it was devastating. I mean, I had to put my ego aside and humbly look in the mirror. And one poignant piece of feedback was, "Mark, you seem to have all the answers." And it forced me to really rethink about the way that I was interacting with my team. I realized I needed to be a better listener and learn that as a leader, it's more effective to lead with questions than with answers. Asking questions and really listening to the insights and points of view of others increased my own understanding, but more importantly, communicated that I valued the team and their input. Another piece of advice: live your life for yourself and not other people's expectations. You know, most people think that the fast track to success means gunning for the high-profile roles or leading the high-growth parts of the business. And of course, as business school graduates, you know, that's what you're expected to do, right? But when problems arise, most people's first thought is to stay as far away from those risky assignments and roles as possible. But if you want to learn and you want to stand out, I'd recommend to going where the need is greatest. And I call it running to the fire. Now, a majority of the jobs that I've had all have one thing in common. I got the job because nobody else wanted it. And each experience taught me new things, like the importance of bringing a team together, of acting fast and decisively, and taking calculated risks, and then adjusting on the fly as necessary. Force yourself out of the comfort zone. Seek opportunities that are going to test you. Run to the fire. And that leads me to another piece of advice, and a quality that can't be overrated: perseverance. If anything has served me well, it has been the inability to accept defeat. In late 2005, as the new leader of Ford's Americas and North America operations, it was one of, if not the most, trying times and difficult eras in the U.S. auto industry. Now let me set the scene for you. We were losing money, billions of dollars. And we were in the middle of a restructuring plan that involved eliminating 40,000 jobs, half of our U.S. team. Also at the same time, closing 17 plants and discontinuing products. And then the financial crisis came around and dealt an even more devastating blow. And it was in a meeting where we had just decided to cut the largest amount of volume production from our production plan ever. And as we reviewed the immense financial implications and impact to the business, I looked around at the team and I could see the fear on their faces and knew everyone was asking exactly the same question: are we going to make it? The room was deathly quiet. And at that moment, I was acutely aware that we could either leave the meeting with our shoulders slumped and be victims, or we could do something a lot more positive. So I went around the table and I asked them, one by one, who would you rather bet on? The Ford team or the competition? And by the time the last person answered, we had transformed from a team that felt defeated, scared, and unsure of the future to a team that was now in control of our own destiny. And that decision was no longer the beginning of the end. It was the beginning of our transformation in North America. And it's been said that success is largely a matter of hanging on when everyone else has let go. Perseverance. You know, you can live out your life or your career collecting grievances as if it's all been just a series of events that's happened to you. Or you can achieve bigger things by working through adversity and refusing to accept defeat. So in closing, I'd like to share one more piece of advice, which for me rises above all the rest. If you remember nothing else from our time together, remember this. Aspire to qualities, not titles, and always be yourself. Now, each of you will walk out today with a very impressive degree and diploma, but you will only have one thing that no one else has, and that's you. Your life experiences, your personality, your values, your view of the world. That's your secret weapon. And I hope that you never trade your individuality to fit a mold. And I actually credit my dad for that piece of wisdom. Years ago, when I was starting my first big general manager's job at Ford, he wrote me a handwritten letter telling me how proud he was of me and my family, and that I had gone out and made something of myself. Yet what stands out most is the advice he gave me about being humble. And to this day, I carry his words with me, literally, wherever I go. My dad said, "Just a word of caution to you, son. Today's success can turn rapidly to something different, and not so nice, even though you're doing everything right. Keep your feet firmly planted on the ground, and don't get carried away by your title or what's happening. And if you do that, you will always be fine as a human being." And based on that advice, I put 4 phrases on the back of my Ford ID badge, which I wear on my belt every single day to remind me of my dad's letter. The words are, be humble, be grateful, be positive, many depend on that. It's simple, it's direct, it's powerful. Always be yourself. So graduates, as you sit here today, remember that no matter how far that you go, your colleagues will never admire you because of the power that you have. They'll admire you because you're dependable, you're fair, you're trustworthy, and your family and all those that are closest to you won't admire you for your wealth or your station in life. They'll admire you for your goodness, your kindness, your integrity, and your unconditional love. And in my best moments, I've tried to remember that this is what success is all about. And I wish it for each of you. So may your achievements at the University of Michigan be just a glimpse of finer things to come for you. Thank you very much, and health, happiness, and great success.
Kevin Anthony, Dan Terman, Holshine, Aaron Blue, Jay Lynn, Sarah Beatty, Abigail Rogers,
Is that in there?
Smita Garg, Lindsay Wu, Brittany Brown, David Deason, Ian Savas, Megan Landon, Ryan Levins, Jacob Gordon, Max Himmelhoff, Logan Pitts, Gavin Buck, Brad Fingeroot, Rose Phillips, Meredith Burry, Stephen Sower, Elizabeth Krishna, Jared Bassett, Alexander Kamenetsky, Forrest Burzak, Nathan Sung, Audrey Bauer, Nathaniel Butland, Abhinav Sujatwarapur, John Hubbard, Macy Hudson, Nicholas Deline, Alex Cook, Jeff Stein, Nathan Grasky, Michael Stowe, Alexander Goodwin, Jacob Marples, Dean Debrin, Jessica Vander, Marielle Reese,
Where is that?
Jamie
Coming right down.
Ford,
Right there.
Katie Reiner, Mark Godwin, Alex Actozad, Payman Rabizadeh,
Temos na Kobe. Dobra mam.
Все в себя еле ходят, были на глаза не видят пива, сидит в очках, не понимает, где она находится. А Фрэнни еще абсолютно
Alex says, can you see me? I don't know where he is. Oh, unless that was,
Te jajce nie zmroziły?
the messages are coming in really late.
Правильно, да, возле индуски взяли.
А, телевизор? На другой стороне тоже телевизор, там сзади нас.
Я говорю, мы по центру, телевизор какой-то сзади нас тоже. Парни в центре с другой стороны. Там шли через 200. Мы сядем тут вешайте. На нее сядем. Подняли, наверное, опять.
That's what Tim, that's what Tim.
Сюда.
Так, все, смотри.
Yeah. Thanks for not being any older, pal. Yeah. edit it out. You can't add it later.
Brian, tu sprosi.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars and on the free and the home of our brave.
You're super delightful.
Okay. Thank you, parents and friends. As all of you know, being at Michigan, we like to talk about leaders and best. We like to sing about it and we like to talk about it. Leaders and best is the standard that we, the faculty and staff at this university, try to uphold for ourselves. And it's what we expect for you, our graduates. Over the past few months, I've been hiring a number of deans for our schools and colleges, and so I've given a lot of thought to what makes a good leader. There's actually a lot of research on this. We even teach courses on it. But today I want to consider a very simple answer, one a friend gave me a few years ago. He said that in his view, good leadership requires just two things: being smart and caring about people. Now graduates, every single one of you is smart. It's not just that you have native intelligence. It's also that you have just completed a rigorous course of study at one of the nation's top universities. But what about that second characteristic? What about that second characteristic? Caring about people. Caring, listening, having true empathy for others. I want to give you three very quick examples that demonstrate the ways in which empathy enriches leadership. And then I want to suggest that your Michigan education has been structured not just to make you smarter, but also more empathetic. The first example involves someone I know you all know of, Nelson Mandela. A leader of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, Mr. Mandela lived through terrible atrocities perpetrated by his own government. He spent 27 years in South African prisons. Released in 1990, Mandela was elected president of South Africa just 4 years later. The work of healing a racially diverse and deeply divided country fell to him. Bravely and smartly, he recognized that the only way to move South Africa... Okay! Now the question. Who's got it better than us? That's right, guys. Nobody.
Michigan State University. Go ahead. On the last play of the game, an MSU safety scooped up a fumbled snap right over here and ran into the end zone right over there to score the game-winning touchdown. My family and I were here in the stands that day, and if you were here, you know that this tragic turn of events opened a crack in the foundation of our house. A 38-yard-long scar, which, at least during the lives of those of us who witnessed the catastrophe, will never heal. But our soul, our spirit, our common purpose is intact. In fact, it's stronger than ever. Because scar or no scar, crack or no crack, this is still our house. stadium, the university itself can be thought of as a big house, one which accommodates a really big family. And a big family can have big dysfunctions. Here's one. Ours is a campus that continues to struggle with fully embracing the rich diversity of society. Many of our students do not feel as if our house is their home, and that is simply unacceptable. So this year, President Schlissel led our family through a strategic planning process to meet this challenge head on. And in the years to come, many committed leaders, students, faculty, and staff will be working hard to do better. But a house is more than the family it contains. Just as important is how it relates to its neighborhood, to its community, and to the world. Here, I am happy to report, our house is in order. A few examples. Back in 1927, the same year this stadium was built, Michigan physicist David Denison discovered that protons have spin. So what's the big deal? The big deal is that 90 years later, we use the spin of protons to figure out the structure of molecules and to look inside ourselves anytime we have an MRI. In 2013, a team of students founded the Michigan Urban Farming Initiative and began working to redevelop 2 blocks in Detroit's North End. Today, they produce 15,000 pounds of organic food annually, using a pay-what-you-can model to serve more than 200 households.
Wow.
Last October, the Weiser Center for Emerging Democracies hosted a first-of-its-kind workshop in Slovakia to train 20 leaders of non-governmental organizations in strengthening new democracies. And this year, the School of Public Health is offering free dozen internships that address everything from refugee help in the Zika outbreak to respiratory illness, air pollution, and tobacco control. These are just a few of the exciting stories I hear every day at the University of Michigan. Now it's your turn to write your stories. Your time here has filled you from the bottom of your probably unconventional footwear to the very top of your mortarboards with wisdom, courage, maturity, and inspiration. And today, we turn you loose upon the world. But no matter how far you travel, you'll always be welcome here. And we hope you will come back again and again to your Michigan home. Wherever you go, whatever you do, carry with you the spirit that built and maintained this house. And when I say house, I'm now speaking both literally and metaphorically. They let you do that when you're a dean. Keep that spirit ever thriving, ever expanding, ever reaching, deeper, wider, and higher. As you grow, we'll grow. And as we grow together, I hope you'll continue to support the University of Michigan. Because with all that growth, at some point, we're going to need a bigger house. I would now like to introduce our student speaker, Catherine Bertodato, who is graduating from the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English.
Honoris causa, which have been recommended by the faculties and authorized by the regents of the university. Members of the Board of Regents will present the honorary degree recipients. First, I call upon Regent Andrea Fisher-Newman.
You are deeply committed to quality education, public service, and public health, and have generously invested your time, talent, and resources to solve seemingly intractable problems. You are a role model for civic and business leaders, students, and others who aspire to be agents of change. The University of Michigan celebrates your storied career and your contributions to business, philanthropy, effective government, and social change, and is proud to present you the honorary degree, Doctor of Laws.
Michigan, vested in the Board of Regents and by them delegated to me, I now confer upon you, Michael Bloomberg, the degree Doctor of Laws and admit you to all its rights, honors, and privileges. I next call upon
and the Board of Regents, and good morning to everyone. I can't hear you. Good morning. Much better. It is a great honor to be here on this great campus where so much history has been made, and it really is a thrill to walk in the footsteps of Gerald Ford, James Earl Jones, Lucy Liu, and Tom Brady. Now, I am told that no quarterback has played in more Super Bowls than Tom Brady, and just in case there are any New Yorkers here, I would just note that he played against the Giants in 2 of them, and in the interest of being diplomatic to my host, I can't remember who won both those Giants games. I am honored to be asked to speak to all the faculty, administrators, alumni, and most of all, to the great class of 2016. Now, I've not taken my assignment lightly. I really wanted to understand what it felt like to attend this storied university, so I did my homework. To get ready for today, I arrived last night and went straight to Rick's, where I ordered a From there I got a pie and cheesy bread from Pizza House. And a sandwich at Zingerman's. Even I could barely afford that one. And then I went to the Cube and gave it a spin. I painted the rock, and I did some yoga in the diag. And I got a tattoo of a Wolverine. But not just any Wolverine. My tattoo is a Wolverine eating a Spartan. And then I drove back to campus and looked for a parking space. Hours. And the whole time I thought, this is Michigan? This morning I woke up full of excitement and energy, so I walked right over here. But on the way I passed by something we definitely didn't have when I was in college. A medical marijuana dispensary. I did not inhale, but somehow I feel like totally mellow, dude. And I swear all of this is true, so help me Harvard. After all that, I feel like a true Wolverine, and I'm ready to celebrate with you. You've survived so much to get to this moment, including the polar vortex. You even survived hours of waiting in line to get into the maze rage to see with that guy in the blue spandex suit. So graduates, this is a great day. But there is another group here that also deserves a big round of applause. Your parents and families. Put your hands together for them. Out there beaming with pride, not even thinking about how much it cost them to get you to this day, or the possibility that you'll soon be moving back into their basement. Of course, there are many other people who helped you on your journey. So after receiving your diploma, and as you make your way in the world, remember that your greatest achievements, like today's, will owe an awful lot to the people around you. If there is a secret to success beyond hard work and good luck, it's that the more we say we, and the less we say I, the farther we go. And that's not just something that Coach Harbaugh tells the football team. It's something that the most effective leaders in the world understand and take to heart. Remember, it's almost nothing we do in life that we do alone. In fact, the most important knowledge that you will leave here today with, like the importance of teamwork, has nothing to do with your major. It is about how to study, how to cooperate, how to listen carefully, how to think critically, and how to resolve conflicts through reason. In other words, it is working with others. Those are the most important skills in the working world. and it's why colleges have always exposed students to challenging and uncomfortable ideas. And the fact that some university boards and administrations now vow to pressure groups and shield students from these ideas through safe spaces, code words, and trigger warnings is, in my view, a terrible mistake. The whole purpose of college is to learn how to deal with difficult situations, not to run away from them. A microaggression is exactly that, micro. But in a macro sense, one of the most dangerous places on a college campus is the so-called safe space, because it creates a false impression that we can isolate ourselves from those who hold different views. We can't and we shouldn't try, not in politics or in the workplace. Graduates, in the global economy and in a democratic society, an open mind is the most valuable asset you can possess. And today, I'd like to talk to you a bit about why that is true, based on the lessons I've learned over the course of my career. Let's start with the global economy, and let me put in perspective the job market many of you are entering. For the first time in human history, the majority of people in the developed world are being asked to make a living with their minds rather than their muscles. For 3,000 years, humankind had an economy based on farming. Till the soil, plant the seed, harvest the crop. Hard to do, but fairly easy to learn. Then for 300 years, we had an economy based on industry. Mold the parts, turn the crank, assemble the product. Hard to do, but once again, fairly easy to learn. Now we have an economy based on information. Acquire the knowledge, apply the analytics, use your creativity. Hard to do, hard to learn, and even once you've mastered it, you'll have to start learning all over again pretty much every day. I want to give you some advice. If you have the luxury of more than one job offer, now or in the future, don't pick the one that pays the most. Pick the one that teaches you the most. And don't worry if the people around you seem quicker or smarter. Personally, I've always tried to surround myself with those that have higher IQs and are better trained than me. Simply, how can you compete? You can outwork them. No one can work more than 24/7, so the worst case is you tie. In my company, I always give the most complex and important projects to the busiest employees we have. Why? Because they're the hardest working and the most dedicated. They're the first ones into the office and the last ones to leave. They're the ones that take the shortest lunch breaks and the least vacation. It may not sound like much fun, but in the end, you have to set your priorities. There are no guarantees, but the secret to success is not rocket science. It just requires true dedication and a willingness to go the extra mile. And some luck. But I've noticed repeatedly, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Whatever your field, volunteer to take on some new assignments, even if they are outside your comfort zone. Take the initiative on your own to learn and develop new skills, and to build contacts with people who can help you down the road. When you have learned enough, let me put it this way. I know of no Nobel Prize winner who has stopped studying. In the information economy, everyone in both white-collar and blue-collar jobs will have to keep deepening their knowledge and adapting to technological change. Now, keeping up with technology may sound simple, but when you're older, your kids will probably think of Facebook and Instagram the way you today think of beepers and Walkman. And for the record, yes, I am on Instagram. It takes me a little while to figure it out, but it took me even longer to convince my daughters to let me follow them. My life is a perfect example of how important it is to keep an open mind about careers in technology. After college, I went to business school in hopes of landing a middle management job in a factory. I had no idea that factories would soon be closing all across the country, and neither did anyone else. I ended up finding a job at a Wall Street firm. I loved the job, and soon my interest in managing a plant dissipated After that, thought I'd stay at that firm forever. And I might have, except for one small thing. I got fired. When I was 38 years old, it was a bitter pill to swallow. But it was also the best thing that ever happened to my career. It let me start a tech company to computerize real-time financial data. That seems simple now, but that was back in 1981, the dawn of the computer age. We were trying to invent a computer that no one wanted, technology that didn't exist, a classic example of innovation. Everyone said I was crazy, and maybe they were right. I had only a limited background in computers, and I'd never started or run the company. With a lot of help from some very talented and driven people, we succeeded beyond our wildest dreams. So the lesson is, whatever you think your dream job today is, don't get too attached to it. Chances are, if that job exists in 15 years, it will be very different, and you may have found other pursuits. Keeping an open mind to new ideas will be essential to your professional success, and it will be just as critical to our collective future as a democratic society. And that's the other lesson I've learned that I'd like to share with you today. During the 12 years I had the honor of serving as mayor of New York City, I witnessed a disturbing change in the nature of American politics, in the rise of extreme partisanship and intolerance for other views. Now, I'm a political independent, but over the course of my life, for non-ideological practical reasons, I've been both a Republican and a Democrat. So I can tell you, neither party has a monopoly on good ideas. Each demonizes the other unfairly and dishonestly. This is not a new phenomenon, but it has reached a dangerous new level. In the year 1796, George Washington spent much of his farewell address warning Americans against political parties, which he called the worst enemy of democratic governments. He wrote of the natural tendencies parties have to elevate a single leader who seeks power, in his words, on the ruins of public liberty. Today, in this political season, it's worth remembering what Washington had to say. And so allow me to read a brief passage from his farewell address. Partisanship, Washington wrote, quote, serves always to distract the public councils and enfeeble the public administration. It agitates the community with ill-founded jealousies and false alarms, kindles the animosity of one part against another, and foments occasionally riot and insurrection. A fire not to be quenched, it demands a uniform vigilance to prevent it from bursting into a flame, lest instead of warming, it should consume. Well said, George. Where are you now that we need you? We have survived more than 200 years of political parties, largely because the Founding Fathers created checks and balances to temper the fires of partnership. Of course, back then the Founding Fathers also excluded most Americans from the vision of democracy because they feared what democracy might produce. But over the past 2 centuries, through the sacrifices of so many civil rights leaders and soldiers, the promise of equal rights has spread across income, religion, race, gender, and sexual orientation. Now, we still have a long ways to go, and it would be a mistake to think that our progress is irreversible, or that Washington's warning is a relic of history. Neither is true, and neither will be. Democracy and citizenship will always require constant vigilance against those who fan the flames of partisanship in ways that consume us and lead to the ruins of public liberty. We've certainly seen such figures before in both parties. In the 1930s, there was the despotic Huey Long in Louisiana. And just a few miles up the road in Dearborn, Father Copeland blamed Jewish conspirators for Americans' troubles. Then came Charles Lindbergh in the 40s, Joe McCarthy in the 50s, George Wallace in the 60s, and Pat Buchanan more recently. Every generation has had to confront its own demagogues. And every generation has stood up and kept them away from the White House, at least so far. And now it is your turn. This year's presidential election, we've seen more demagoguery from both parties than I can remember in my lifetime. Our country is facing serious and difficult challenges, but rather than offering realistic solutions, candidates in both parties are blaming our problems on easy targets who breed resentment. For Republicans, it's Mexicans here illegally and Muslims, and for the Democrats, it's the wealthy in Wall Street. The truth is, we cannot solve the problems we face by blaming anyone. We are in this together, and we all must be part of the solution. America's power in the world comes from not the walls we build, but the doors we open. And it comes from tearing down. And it comes not from tearing down success, but building up opportunity. Now, American citizenship does not require much of us. We have no military draft, no mandatory national service, no compulsory voting. Our taxes compared to Europe are relatively low, and yet our voting rates are terrible, and they're especially low among young people. And this year, you can change that. Voting is the only way to stop demagogues, and the best way to stop demagogues from rising in the first place is to elect leaders with the courage to face reality, make tough decisions, and lead from the front rather than following from behind. And that's become harder over time. So let me share one last story with you from my time in City Hall that illustrates why. In 2002, we banned smoking in New York City's bars and restaurants, and it caused a huge backlash. We got a lot of angry calls and letters, and I got a lot of one-finger waves when I walked down the street. But as time went by, the ban proved to be a huge boon to the bar and restaurant business. Surprise, surprise. And smoking rates in our city went down by nearly 30% and helped to increase life expectancy in New Yorkers to 2 years above the national average. In fact, I'm glad to say the policy became so popular that cities and states all over the world copied it. Today, elected officials who decide to support a controversial policy will still get angry letters, phone calls, and faxes, if they still have fax machines. But for sure, they'll now get millions of angry tweets and Facebook posts denouncing them in the harshest possible terms. That's democracy in action. But that kind of instant condemnation also makes some elected officials afraid to do things that in their heart of hearts they know are right. So democracy in action can actually produce a lot of inaction, which we see every day in Washington, D.C. and other levels of government as well. When governments fail to address the needs of the people, voters in both parties get angry. And some politicians exploit that anger by offering scapegoats instead of solutions. If we want to stop demagogues, you have to start government. And that requires us to be more civil, to support politicians who have the courage to take risks, and to reward those who reach across the aisle in search of compromise. Now, I know doing this won't be easy, and that's partly because it's not just social media that has changed the civic dialogue. The constant bombardment of news that we see on our phones, computers, and TVs gives us the impression that we are acquiring knowledge. Yet many of the sources, facts, and interpretations are either dubious, colored by partisanship, or outright lies. And I say that as the owner of a media company who sees how the marketplace has shifted. Today, people choose cable TV channels and websites that affirm their own political views, rather than ones that inform and challenge their beliefs. As a result, we have grown more politically cloistered and more intolerant of those who hold different opinions. Think about this. In 1960, only 4 or 5% of Democrats and Republicans said they would be upset if a member of their family married somebody from the opposing party. In 2010, the study was done again. Roughly 40% said they would disapprove of such a marriage. In other words, in 1960, most people would never have believed that inter-party marriage would attract such resistance, while interracial marriage and same-sex marriage would gain such acceptance. For all the progress we've made on cultural tolerance, when it comes to political tolerance, we are moving in the wrong direction. We see this trend of political intolerance across the country. At campaign rallies that turn violent, on social media threads that turn vitriolic, and even on college campuses where students and faculty have attempted to censor political opponents. Now, I know today one of today's graduates, Omar Mahmoud, has faced threats and intimidation because he dared to write political satire about being left-handed in the Michigan Daily. And he refused to apologize it. Omar, wherever you are out there, I'm glad you stood your ground, and I'm not saying that because I also am left-handed. Never be afraid to stand up for what you believe is right, no matter how unpopular it may be or how many people try to shout you down. And just as importantly, never hesitate to stand up for the rights of others who express their views and exercise their rights, no matter how unpopular that may be. The only ways for you to ensure your right to express yourself is to protect others' rights to express themselves. Back in 2010, I find myself in the middle of a huge debate over free expression. It was a national uproar over a proposal to build a mosque several blocks from the World Trade Center. Members of both parties attacked the plan as an affront to the victims of 9/11. Even the Anti-Defamation League, whose mission is to protect against religious discrimination, opposed the idea. But they had all forgotten. The terrorists didn't just attack buildings. They attacked our freedom to live and pray as we choose, according to our own beliefs and values, equally. The torch that Lady Liberty holds aloft in New York Harbor lights the way for people of every faith and philosophy, and it shines down on every corner of the city and every community across this land. No religion should ever face special restrictions on their rights, whether it concerns building a house of worship or getting a visa. As durable as the American system of government has been, democracy is fragile and demagogues are always lurking. When Ben Franklin was leaving the Constitutional Convention, a woman approached him and asked, "Well, doctor, what have we got, a republic or a monarchy?" And Franklin replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." Well, graduates, it is now your responsibility to keep it. That starts with keeping an open mind, voting, and demanding that politicians offer practical solutions, not scapegoats or pie-in-the-sky promises. Back in 1928, Republicans promised a chicken in every pot and a car in every backyard. They won control of Congress and the White House. And a year later, instead of a chicken and a car, we got the Great Depression. Today, when a populist Democratic candidate promises free college, free health care, and a pony, or another candidate promises to make other countries pay for our needs, remember, those who promise you a free lunch will invariably eat you for breakfast. Solutions to complex problems, we wouldn't have had those problems. And I'm optimistic that you graduates will rise to the occasion and help protect our republic against the danger of demagogues and the fires of partisanship that Washington warned us about 220 years ago. I believe in you. I support you. I will stand with you in this battle to the end of my days, so that my children and grandchildren can be as proud of America's devotion to freedom and equality as I am. Now, as for today, for you, this is a day of celebration. So relish it, enjoy every minute. Tonight, have one last mind probe, or two, or maybe fishbowl at Charlie's. And when you wake up tomorrow with your whole life ahead of you, just remember, no matter what happens, no matter what the future holds, you can always take pride in something that you all share, that you didn't go to Michigan State. Congratulations and go blue.
We hope that you will always keep a place for Michigan in your hearts. To mark this goodbye, please join us in singing Hail to the Victors.
how's your toes? I think that